Need some help with your tamping technique at home or in your cafe? In this video, I'm going to talk you through the quick tips I've got to get the best tamping technique, and stick around to the end. I've got some pro tips for you to make your coffee taste even better. So today we're just going to start with the trusty old hand tamp. Now the technique that we're going to use for this one is just to grab that more like a tennis racket. You might think to grab it by the top, which actually gives you leverage and you might tip it over. So what you actually want to do is grab it more like a tennis racket, lifting your elbow in the air. And when you grab that, use your thumb and your forefinger to put the pressure down at the base rather than actually putting the pressure at the top, which can tip over and cause other issues. So we're going to grab that from the top. We're going to lift our elbow in the air, turn your body sideways onto it, and use your thumb and your forefinger as the pressure point, not the base of the tamp. So we use our thumb and our finger, and we're going to turn our body. So when we put our elbow in the air, we can just shift our weight onto the coffee. So when that's sitting on top, what we also want to do is we never want to put the spout of your portafilter onto the bench. We don't want to put pressure on them. Some of them will come off. You might end up with coffee grinds on that, which will end up in the cup. So we're always hanging the portafilter off the end of the bench when we're tamping. So again, the tamp goes straight on top of the bed of the coffee. Our finger and our thumb are down there. We're supporting it by grabbing that, lifting the elbow in the air, turn your body sideways, and just shift your body weight onto it. You'll also see us twist. That twist is just to polish the surface and get rid of any of the loose grinds that are sitting on top of the coffee bed. Just remember, when you are tamping, one of the things you want to be mindful of, and sometimes it's really hard to see when you're looking over the top of it, is the level of the tamp. The whole point of this is to make sure that the water spends the right amount of time with the bed of coffee and the water flows evenly through the bed of coffee. And if your tamp is uneven, you're going to have a lower side, and that side's going to send all the water into it. You're going to get an over-extracted side of the puck and an under-extracted, and you're going to get an uneven flavor profile. So sometimes it's a bit easier to just hold it up in the air and you can see how uneven your tamp is. So we want to make sure we're making sure that's flat and level. One technique that baristas will use is to use your thumb and your forefinger that are already on top of the tamp there, which is why we don't hold here. We actually want to be down the bottom. So when you spin, you can feel with your fingers that it is flat on the top. And the one thing that we aren't doing now is this. We're not tapping the side of the basket anymore. We don't want to see any more taps. As soon as you do that, you separate the puck from the outside of the basket and your water will find a way through. It's going to create channeling and create bad floating pucks that are going to taste terrible. So no more tapping the basket. If you tap it or you knock it really hard, start again and you'll get a much better extraction without the tap. So why is tamping so important? It's because, like I said before, we want that water to flow through and we want it to be even. And how can we get that consistency? There is some other tools that we do. There's a huge range of tamps out there, and there's things like self-leveling tamps. These tamps won't actually allow you to tip over and make that uneven. So that's a great upgrade to your tamp if that's something that's going to help you to get that consistency. I would say we do avoid any tamps with a rounded bottom on it. If you've got a tamp like that, you might find that when you're tamping, you're getting an uneven surface and then your water's going to pull to one area and get an over-extracted puck straight through the middle. So make sure you've got a flat tamp. If you're finding that you get a build-up of coffee around the outside, just means your tamp diameter isn't the right size, and maybe it's time to upgrade your tamp so that it goes all the way to the walls and we get all the coffee down. And the big thing about tamping is consistency. If you're in a cafe and you're tamping hundreds of coffee every day and you're still doing it like this, you are making it really hard for your staff to get that consistency. Every staff member will tamp at different pressures, depending on how busy your staff are, as to whether they're going to tamp quickly when they're rushed or tamp harder when they're not. So getting that consistency is really hard with any of these tamps. These make it a bit easier, but when you're ready, the upgrade is to go to an automatic tamper. Something like the Cinoart PT2 like this is giving you 14 kilos of consistent pressure and just speeding up the workflow to make sure that you're getting nice, even, consistent pressure every time. Okay, my pro tips to make your coffee actually taste better during the tamping process is by adding a couple of extra tricks. As we know, we want to be measuring our coffee, because sometimes when you're tamping, the issues that you'll get with your leveling is actually because your dose is wrong. So you need to be weighing your coffee in and getting your recipe right. Another thing is introducing dosing pots. Now, dosing pots drop below the basket, so you actually will find that it drops down. So when you tamp, you're not getting all of that mess around the top of the basket. So when you transfer from the dosing pot, it sits inside there. You flip it over, and you can do a bit of distribution here. You can break up the clumps, and you can get it to sit down with a little collapse. Now it's much lower in the basket, so when I tamp, I'm not getting kind of coffee falling out. We're definitely not going to have it completely falling out, losing some of that dose. So we want to make sure the coffee is evenly distributed that way. But to make it even better, introduce something like the NCD. Adding an NCD saves any of the coffee, well, moves the coffee around the basket to make sure that all those gaps are filled. Tamping is only as good as the preparation of the puck that you're actually tamping on. We don't want to be tamping onto an uneven surface. If you're grinding straight into your portafilter and you're getting a big pile of coffee, even once you've tamped, if you tamp straight on top of that, it's just going to give you a denser area within the middle of the puck. It'll be a little bit less denser on the outside, and that's where the water's going to go. So distributing your coffee is really important, not only for just maximizing the flavor, but tamping will hide all of your issues. So a little pat on the side, give it a little pat that way, add the NCD after you've used the dosing pot. Now you've got a flat surface, you're ready to tamp. So your tamp is really just putting a little bit of pressure on there, around that 14 kilo pressure. Shift that body weight on, hold on to that, little twist, polish that off, keep it nice and clean, no more knocking. And that is your well-prepared coffee puck, ready for a beautiful extraction. So that's all my tips on tamping. If that was helpful to you, let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and there is hundreds of videos on how to make better coffees on our channel, or you can jump on artisti.com.au and download our home barista manual. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks for watching. Bye.